It was the kind of night no one wanted to be out in. Rain pounded the ground like a warning. Thunder roared across the darkened sky, and the forest road had become little more than mud and shadows. Daniel Reeves, a former soldier, now a man who mostly kept to himself, was driving back from a supply run when he thought he heard something. At first he told himself it was nothing. Maybe the wind. Maybe his memories playing tricks on him again. But then it came again, a faint, desperate sound. Bark. Broken, weak but unmistakable. He stopped his truck. The headlights caught nothing but rain and trees, but something inside Daniel told him to get out. Old instincts, the kind that never really leave a soldier, kicked in. He grabbed his flashlight and stepped into the storm. He followed the sound, deeper into the woods, boots sinking into wet leaves and soft earth. The barking grew clearer and more heartbreaking. Whoever or whatever it wasn't just calling for help. It was giving up. And then he saw it. There, nearly swallowed by the earth and water, was a rusted cage, half buried in mud. Water pooled inside. And inside that cage, curled up, was a German shepherd, soaked to the bone, shaking and barely conscious. His eyes were open but glazed. Like he didn't expect to be saved anymore. Daniel's heart cracked open. He dropped to his knees beside the cage. "Hey," he whispered. "I've got you." The dog didn't move, just looked up at him, eyes filled with something Daniel hadn't seen in years. Defeat. But behind it just barely hope. Daniel rushed the dog home, wrapping him in old towels and laying him near the fire in his cabin. He dried him off, gave him warm broth, and sat close by all night. The dog didn't bark, didn't whine, just watched Daniel with those haunted eyes. Over the next few days, the shepherd, whom Daniel named Ghost, slowly regained strength. He didn't like loud sounds. He flinched at certain pitches, especially whistles. He refused to walk near the barn door. He never barked. But what stunned Daniel most was that Ghost obeyed military hand signals. A raised fist and Ghost sat. A palm open and he laid flat. A quick swipe, and he circled behind Daniel like a trained operative. Something wasn't right. Daniel took Ghost to a vet 2 towns over. After scanning him, the vet looked confused. "There's a microchip," she said. "But it's blank. No ID. No owner. Just a frequency." Daniel's stomach twisted. On the drive home, he couldn't shake the feeling. Someone had trained this dog, not like a pet but like a soldier. And someone had dumped him in a cage to die. But why? That night, Daniel sat at his desk, digging. Forums, databases, old military contacts. Nothing came up on Ghost, until he stumbled across a redacted article buried deep online. It mentioned a discontinued program called Project Selene. Experimental military canine units. Behavior modification. Abandoned after several failures. Daniel leaned back, goosebumps crawling up his arms. Ghost wasn't just a dog. He was evidence of something the military wanted forgotten. That same night, as wind rattled the windows and Ghost slept by the fire, Daniel heard something outside. Tires. Car. He stepped out, hand on his sidearm. A black SUV was parked halfway down the hill, lights off. Within seconds, it pulled away into the dark. Daniel didn't sleep. The next day, Ghost wouldn't leave his side. Three nights later they came. Daniel was dozing when Ghost's low growl woke him. A shadow moved outside the window. Daniel reached for his weapon. Ghost was already at the door, ears perked, silent but alert. Then glass shattered. A flashbang landed in the living room. White light. Ringing ears. Mope. Through the chaos, Daniel saw men in black uniforms, masks covering their faces. No insignias. No words. One of them lunged for Ghost. That's when it happened. Ghost didn't just defend. He attacked with precision, targeting weak points like he'd been trained for war. Daniel fought too, but it was Ghost who turned the tide. The men retreated, one limping, another dragging the third. They disappeared into the night, leaving behind a memory Daniel would never forget. In the wreckage, Daniel found something one of the men dropped. A flash drive. Inside was a document. Subject 17. K9 Unit Ghost. Classified. Trained under Project Selene. Deemed emotionally unstable after bonding with a fallen soldier. Scheduled for disposal. Daniel couldn't breathe. Ghost had once belonged to a soldier, maybe his only companion. When that soldier died, Ghost refused to move on. He grieved. And the military called him unstable. They caged him. Left him to die. Days passed. Daniel contacted some old friends who owed him favors. He made arrangements. Ghosts from the past helping him disappear from systems that were never meant to be fair. Ghost stayed close always. Slept near the door. Watched Daniel's back. But he wasn't afraid anymore. He was home. And Daniel knew one thing for certain. They were both soldiers the world tried to forget. But now they had each other. They say loyalty can't be trained. That it's something deeper. Born, not built. And maybe that's true. Because in the heart of a broken forest, during a storm meant to wash everything away, a dog waited. And a soldier answered. And somewhere between pain and rescue, silence and loyalty, a story was written. Not about war, but about healing.